I wanted to make a video about the recent announcement that Amazon has made about not bringing the Stronghold research honing buffs to North America. I wanted to join the discussion for this specific topic because it upset me quite a bit and I cannot make sense of it. Typically, when Amazon makes changes that the community doesn't end up liking, they have specific reasoning that they provide to us, which didn't happen in this case. I will have to give a shout out to Kanon. Of course, I watched this video on stream. He had some good points as well, and that prompted my chat also on stream to have some discussions. Some people were playing devil's advocate, trying to come up with some arguments that might be on the side of such a change. A lot of them weren't. I wanted to kind of bring that discussion into a video and make a quick video adding to that discussion, because I think it's important to show the extent to which that change made the community upset and a little disappointed. So for those that don't know, this Stronghold honing buff, what is that? Well, it's essentially a Stronghold research buff like we've had before. We've had it for Tier 1, for Tier 2, and for the early stages of Tier 3, where in your Stronghold you can research a mission, and that mission will basically enable your alts on your roster from 1370 to 1415, have a 10% increased success chance on all of the honing, and a 10% reduction in the costs of the honing. In order to actually unlock that research, you do have to have a 1460 character already on your roster. So this honing buff is specifically targeted towards alts of people who are at 1460, which is Vykas Hard mode ready. This Stronghold honing research buff was not originally part of the Korean patch for Vykas. It did come out a little bit later. However, Smilegate did put out a letter apologizing to the player base and telling them basically that they thought that this change should have come sooner. And so going forward on Japanese servers and on Russian servers for Lost Ark, the honing rates Stronghold buff, research buff, came out with Vykas patch. So it came out at the same time as Vykas patch, which is why the NA, EU, and South American player base have been expecting for us to get the same treatment. And apparently we're not. So as you can see on the screen here, this is a post on the forums, on the official forums by Roxanne, who is a community manager for Amazon, communicating a message from Amazon saying that essentially they have decided to go against implementing this Stronghold research honing buff, as people have expected it and have asked about it plenty of times. And the reasoning seems very kind of short and vague and not very easy to understand what that means. But essentially, now that you know, I want to talk about my thoughts about it first. They're not good. I'm not happy about it. And I can say with fair certainty that majority of the community is not happy with this change either. We really only have one fun thing to do in the game right now. So for those that are playing the game pretty actively and had pretty good successes in honing, probably around Vault and Hard now. There are a lot of people who have several characters who are also Vault and ready or at Argos level. Personally, I don't. I play this game every day. I don't pay anything just to see kind of where I get. My main is 1460. She is ready for Vykas Hard, but she is also the only character that I can do Vault and Hard on at this moment. My other two characters in Tier 3 are 1320 and 1340. So not a great looking roster. So my initial plan for Vykas release was to push my Tier 3 characters hard, and then once Vykas comes out, I can hone them up so I can do more fun stuff. Essentially, what the Stronghold buff would have helped us to do is to give players more fun things to do in the game. Because right now, for a player like me, which I think is pretty average for somebody who's actively playing this game, there is nothing for me to do once I complete my dailies. I do have a few characters in Tier 2 and a few in Tier 1, so let's say I log in for a couple hours, I do my Chaos Dungeons, I do a little bit of horizontal content, I do my Guardians, and I do my dailies on all of my characters, and I can basically log out. The fun things to do right now are essentially Argos and Vaulton. And Vaulton, you can't do easy and hard. You have to either choose, you have to pick and choose. You have to either do easy or hard. And then for Argos, at this point, majority of people who play this game actively have it on farm, and a lot of the feedback as well is that Argos fight after experiencing Vaulton just doesn't seem that fun. It's just kind of like another chore for people. Whether or not you want to consider Argos a chore is up to you. For the fairness of kind of the argument and the discussion, let's consider it part of like the fun things to do. So somebody like me, I can really only do Argos and Vaultin. And both of those things can only be done once a week. And that, I think, is the main bone of contention that I have with this, is that obviously it's just a 10% cost reduction and a 10% buff, but it would have helped a lot of people like me get more characters to content that is much more fun to do, that's not just mindless grind. Because, I mean, let's face it, Guardians are not that challenging, Chaos Dungeons are not even meant to be challenging. I'm only really super excited to play this game once a week when I know I haven't cleared Vaultin yet. And my group has gotten pretty good at clearing Vaultin, and it doesn't even take that long anymore. Layered on top of the fact that we're not getting class releases very often. We're only getting one class every 2 months, which is also something that the community didn't like and was very upset with. We're not actually getting that much stuff that often. Yeah, we're getting Vykas soon, so we're gonna have one more thing to take care of and one more thing to do. I think the pacing that Amazon is choosing to release the actual new content for us is good so far when I compare Vaultin to Vykas specifically, and how long it took between them. The amount of time, I think it's good, I think it's healthy, it's not too slow and it's not too fast. I mean, I don't know when Vykas is going to come out because I'm making this video before any announcements of any dates. I'm assuming it's going to be either mid-June or late June, which both are fine by me. That being said though, while we are waiting over here in the West to catch up in terms of content, we're kind of really bored. So I feel like letting people have an easier time getting alt characters to the level that would allow them to have a little bit more fun is really important, so that people don't get bored of the game. Because at this point, there are too many people who just log in to do their daily chores and log out because there's nothing else to do. And I think that's really important for the fun factor of the game. I mean, at the end of the day, Lost Ark has a ton of horizontal content, it has PvP, it has easy content like Chaos Dungeons and Guardians, and it has content you can do with friends. It has a lot of really great features, but at the end of the day, raids are where it's at. Difficult content that's mechanically heavy and requires you to be on your toes and clear it with friends or with pugs or whoever, however you want to or like to play this game. That's where I think majority of the fun lies for a lot of people. And while we're waiting for all this content to come out, and while we're waiting to catch up with KR, allow us to play our alts in that fun content. This is the biggest reason why I'm upset over this, is because I was really excited to push my second Bard alt so I can do Vaultin more often. Because I actually, compared to Argos and compared to all this mindless grind that is the daily chores, I love the Vaultin fight, and the Vykas fight is going to be even harder, but Vaultin fight is really fun nonetheless. So being able to do Vykas on my main and then switch over to my alts and do Vaultin, and then do Vaultin on my main and then do Vaultin on an alt, that gives me more fun stuff to do. Like maybe today I don't feel like grinding a Chaos Dungeon, maybe I'll just let that go to rest, and then I'll go on my alt that's on eye level and try Vaultin on eye level with a party that's on eye level, or I try it with no supports, maybe on a DPS alt or something. It just gives me more fun stuff to do. Once you've cleared an Elysian raid, you can go back in there and redo it without loot. Otherwise, I would have loved to come with friends, I would have loved to help some of my guildies, some of my viewers, but I don't get to do that either. And it just makes me feel like I am really bored. I know that the developer has said that, you know, feel free to quit the game and then come back later. There are plenty of catch-up events, but I don't want to do that. I actually really enjoy playing Lost Ark every day. I'm not bored enough to say like, oh, I'm gonna quit, or I'm so bored I'm gonna wait for Vykas or something. I'm not. But I do think that it's kind of boring right now where the game is. And obviously, as a side note, eventually we're not going to have this problem, because we're going to have Vaultin, Vykas, Brilshaza, Cuckoo. We're going to have a lot of different things to do. We're going to have hell modes. Like, there will be more things to do. But that's in the far future. Allow us to have fun now. We don't have that much fun content right now. So allow us to at least have fun with what we have with our alts. So now to move into some of the counter arguments that my chat has come up with and that I've seen kind of here and there, like when I complain about it on Twitter or whatever. The first one I want to address is money. Amazon did it for money, to force people to spend more on honing materials, to buy more gold. Amazon is greedy. They want to force us to spend more money. As much as that is an easy stance to take, I don't want to agree with that, because I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Amazon has come out and apologized to us for the Argos patch. Roxanne recently has made a trip to Korea to speak directly to Smilegate. It was a work trip for her. Things like that, like little details like that, like the apology and the shift in the content release pacing, like the difference between Argos and Vaultin and Vykas is immense. And it's good, and they're they're making changes and they are making strides. So I don't want to assume that they're just another greedy company. I'm not going to lower them to the level of Gameforge and Treon in my mind quite yet. I don't think money is the reason. However, that being said, I don't have a good defense for them because they didn't give me a good defense for them. They didn't give us a reason. They said, like in that screenshot, that this decision requires more internal discussion. What does that mean? Right now, the player base feels ignorant, and this is something that Kanon mentioned as well, and something that I commented when I watched this video live on my stream as well, is that he said, I don't know, I'm not a coder, I'm not, I'm not somebody who works at Amazon, I don't know, maybe I am ignorant. But he shouldn't have to say that. I mean, yes, we're all ignorant, but he shouldn't have to say that, because if you're going to remove an inherent part of the patch that we all expected and would help us greatly, at least give us a good enough reason to understand where you're coming from, even if you're experimenting on something, even if you're just trying to see some statistics or what happens or whatnot, or how this will affect this or that or that. Let us know. I think a lot of the reason why the player base is so upset about this and why the forums are a complete dumpster fire about this is because we were just told that it's not coming and not given a good reason at all, and nobody can come up with a good reason. So if you're testing something, if you want to see how that affects players catching up, if you want to see how this affects this or that, at the very least, let your player base know. Treat us with respect. I think a better explanation as to why that's not making it into the patch, whether it be technical problems or statistical problems or testing out, whatever it is, would have been better. One of the counter arguments that I've seen online is inflation. And Kanon actually talked about this, so I'm not going to talk about it. If you want to watch Kanon's videos, I think you should. He also brings up a few good points as well about this, and he shares his thoughts about this, so I strongly encourage you to watch Kanon's video about this as well. He talks about inflation, he disagrees, and I do as well. Another argument that somebody brought up in my chat is that Amazon probably sees that people are catching up too fast and are just logging out. And I've kind of talked about this a little bit already. People are doing that because they're bored, so allowing people to have more characters to do more fun content on would prevent that, or at least slow that down a little bit. People would be more willing to do more fun content and try different classes, because if you play a striker in Vulcan and then you play a bard in Vulcan, those are two very, very different experiences. So I think the buff itself would actually help the issue instead of enforce it. And the last argument that my chat could come up with that I could kind of see and understand the logic of is that they want to prevent the pay-to-win perception of rich get richer type situation. And let me explain. What that means is basically that right now, this Stronghold research honing buff will only apply to players who are already 1460. So essentially what the argument is saying is that people who are 1460 will have an easier time getting up their alts, so then they will have more alts to do Argos and Vulcan on, and as a result, they will generate more gold and they will become more richer, and they will generate more mats and they will become more richer from that. So it's basically, if you're already 1460, the Stronghold holding buff will help you go even further, whereas if you're not 1460, you're just kind of stuck down there struggling, trying to collect all the mats that you need and just chain failing all your stuff. So what they're saying is that, rich get richer and poor get poorer, is that if you're not 1460, you're kind of SOL, and if you're 1460, you only get richer because you're going to get more characters to 1415 in order to generate more gold through Legion raids, and so on and so forth. There are 3 reasons why I disagree with this argument, even though I do see the logic in it. I do want to reiterate, this is the only argument I've seen that I at least see kind of the logical conclusion that was made. I can understand it. I don't necessarily side with it though, for 3 reasons. Reason number 1 is that a lot of people who are 1460 or especially above, way above, are whales. And whales at the end of the day are going to whale. Whales are gonna keep whaling regardless. The 10% makes no difference to somebody who makes so much disposable income that they can just whale their way to 1475 to 1500 and so on and so forth. It does not make a big difference for them. They will continue whaling. So rich are already rich. They are rich in real life, so they will continue honing past whatever it is that they are. But this actually hurts the free-to-play player like me, somebody who has not spent a penny on her gear aside from the Platinum Founder Pack that resources that I had, because now I have to hone my alts in a natural way, and it will cost more and it will be less likely to succeed. This hurts the free-to-play player the most in this situation. Reason number two, and this is my personal subjective opinion, but I think in any situation where you've got two sides, you've got the whales or the people who are at 1460, who are free to play or just got lucky or just are super heavy grinders, and then you've got them in a good place, and then you've got the other side, which is the pre-1460 players who are in a struggling spot. They're struggling to get there. They have to go through the honing and all that stuff. They're struggling to catch up. I think, in my personal opinion, in most cases, in terms of community, in terms of morale, in terms of perception, it's always better to improve the bad versus punishing the good. So instead of punishing people for getting 1460, which again, a lot of people have done free to play like myself, they should just improve the quality of life for the people who are struggling to catch up. So release more mats as they have done before. Do that again, give us more mats, give us more events that give us mats. You know, there are a lot of ways to do so that I will not list, but I think it's just better for the general perception and the general morale of the player base if you just improve the quality of life of the ones struggling versus punishing those who are considered in a good spot. And the third and the biggest reason I disagree with this argument, that basically just shattered this argument in my opinion, is actually was brought up by somebody in my chat named Mr. Too Slow. Shout out to him. He said the rich will still get richer if you bottleneck because they just sell the mats to the ones still needing to hone. So people below 1460 are going to be the people that are gonna make the rich richer, because I'm at 1460 right now. If I don't want to push my alts, I can just sell the mats and make bank. And the mats, mind you, are very, very overpriced right now. So the rich will still get richer. Even if you bottleneck them, they will still get richer because they will just sell the same mats to the same struggling people, the majority that can't get to 1460. In conclusion, I do want to say, if anybody from Amazon ever watches this video, on the small chance, I understand that maybe you need to do some testing. I am giving you the benefit of the doubt that this decision is not because of money and because you want to milk people for money. Please, please, please implement this change, because this will greatly help the community just have more fun on the game. And if you're insistent on not doing it, please at least give us a tangible reason so we can at least understand where you're coming from, because right now it's really easy for people to hate you. That being said though, I do think in conclusion that this goes directly against what the director meant for us, and I can't say how much of the decision was made by Smilegate or Amazon. They just came back from their trip to Korea, so a lot of people are assuming that this decision was largely from Smilegate as well. We need to catch up fast, but while we wait to catch up, let us have fun in the game, please. Thank you so much for watching the video. I stream every single day, except for Sunday, so I'm probably live right now, most likely, if not. Check me out on Twitch. I stream Lost Ark only, basically. I am a slave to this game, so thank you very much for watching. I appreciate all the support, and I'll catch you next time.